Hi, and welcome to this Feast for the Soul Compassionate Conversations. I'd like to introduce me, Sue Cooper, who's the co-director of Feast for the Soul. And I'd like to welcome Ola Kjorrefjord and Marilyn Turkovich. Marilyn's CEO for Charter for Compassion, and Ola is strategically supporting Charter for Compassion as we move forward. And within that, I'd firstly like to ask Marilyn to say hi, and then Ola, and we're going to then move on to talking about the map of co-creators that has been developed through Charter for Compassion. So Marilyn, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marilyn Turkovich, and as Sue indicated, I'm the executive director of the Charter for Compassion, which is an organization that had its very beginning with Karen Armstrong, who is a theologian and a historian at the same time. And she had a wish that was granted to her by the TED organization, and that was to create a charter for compassion, because she felt that that's what we have left. We can come up with all of the different processes that we can think of, but we have to open our heart to compassion and to take action. So I'm going to turn it over to Ole, and he'll do his introduction, and then I think we'll do a little bit with the map.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a business background, went to Harvard Business School and had a career for 40 years in business, and about 6 years ago decided that there were more important tasks for me to pursue. I worked with Barbara Marx Hubbard for the last years of her life, and 2.5 years ago, I met two wonderful people who share the screen with me right now. In October 2020, I met Sue Cooper and Marilyn Turkovich, and have been working closely with both of you on and off, mostly with the Charter for Compassion and the map of co-creators, which we will come to soon.
Thank you, Ola. Yeah, it's an absolute joy. Yes, it's been a while, hasn't it? And the beauty of being able to connect in our little compassionate circle and expand out into the NG group that you have all kindly supported with the Positively Empowered Kids and Youth Voice in Action. And to see the map of co-creators develop has been an absolute joy. So would you like to share? We can share screen here if you'd like to share the map, or if there's anything that you really want to share before that, please, Ola, over to you.
Okay, well, briefly, we all know that there's so much compassionate movement going on in the world. The problem is that the compassionate people are not visible to each other. So I know the people on my street, but I don't know the people on the next street. In order to make us visible to each other, to co-create the world that we all desire, we have created the map of co-creators, and it looks like this right now, where people can be anonymously visible on the map with a marker showing their postcode. It's not on your house, it's on your postcode somewhere, and where people place their pin or indicate their passion, so people can find others who share their passion. So if we could, look at me, and I will probably be here. And my preference is governance and community, and I can filter here and look at others in the world who are interested in governance and community, which is my passion, and I can select those people. Oh, sorry. I can select one person here, and I can select many people, and I can send invitations to them to invite us to explore cooperation opportunities.
Now, I was going to interject here. The beauty of the map is that we become visible to one another. If you have a project that you're working on, if you have a question you want to explore, if you want to find someone who has that equal passion and concern in your own locale or across the waters, you can find them. And a couple months ago, I was on a call with some of our Canadian compassionate people, and there was an individual who was in the Toronto area, and he was in palliative care. And we were showing the map, and he said, you know, he would be willing to offer himself as an example. So we put him on the map. And we kept zooming in because it has the capabilities of getting right to your street if you want. And that's what happened. We zoomed in into his street in Toronto, and he was so surprised to find someone else on his very street in palliative care that he didn't know. And so, you know, he was like, I have to find this person. I have to have coffee with them. And so that's what can happen. You know, you can take an idea and it could blossom. And that's the purpose of the map, and to share our stories with one another as well.
Thank you, Marilyn. And I noticed as Ola was showing us, there was no, we're back to the confidentiality of people wanting to put their information in and knowing that that information is safe, but there was no emails showing. So how do people actually get in touch with each other once they've found that somebody's got the same passion or purpose or interest as them?
Right. So if I select myself here, you can see that there is no email address, but every pin is connected with an email on the server. So if I want to send an invitation to somebody, I need to expose my email address.
Yeah.
And I can ask if you want to co-create, and then it will arrive when I send it to the other person, and they will then see my email address, and then they can choose whether to reply or not, if it's something they find interesting or not. But it's impossible to extract email addresses from the database, which makes it a little bit complicated to work with the website. Actually, it's I cannot even extract my own information to edit my profile. I need to deregister and then register again. But it's all for the sake of security.
Yes. Oh, that's very reassuring. And what I'm really liking is that people choose whether to put their own websites in, don't they? So that I noticed that there, so that people, if I was looking for somebody, particularly for, say, spirituality, and there are all these different pins, I could go onto the website if it was there and then explore that myself to know if I want to take that to the next stage. Yeah.
Yep.
And Sue, the thing is that there's a filter. We didn't look at that when we were on the map, but you can go to the filter and you can just select those people who might be interested in spirituality or well-being or education, and education can be divided into subcategories as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so here is education. I'll take away governance. So here are people who have a passion for education. And we could take it down to toddlers and preschool and elementary school, and take away the older categories, maybe maintain alternative. So then you can filter it down to suit what your interest is.
So this is wonderful, because I know that it's also been linked to the wheel of compassionate communities and creation, isn't it? And this is actually on the website that's being built.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. so we've got 12 pieces of the pie, as I call it. So Marilyn, would you just share a little bit about what that looks like?
Yeah, Ola, since you have the sharing the screen, maybe we can show the wheel. And we realize we probably have to zero in a little bit more and make it more self-explanatory. But the charter itself works in 12 sectors. And those 12 sectors are found in any community in the world, any big city, any small town or village. And it includes, for example, as you can see on the outer rim, those divisions like restorative social justice and social services, interfaith, business, education. So those are the 12 sectors, and those are the 12 areas of passion that are also on the map. And so when you go to the map, you can choose one of those areas, but then you can select a lot of secondary interests that you might have. So Ola indicated that he was interested in governance. I would probably feel most comfortable in putting down education and alternative education in particular. The other thing about this is that there's DNA attached to all of this because it goes through every one of the sectors, through every one of ourselves. And so we become co-creators and we become innovators with compassion right in the very middle of that core. And reaching out from that core is the action that we take, like the map of co-creators, where we start to interact and share with others.
Oh, and it's working, isn't it? I mean, the last time I looked at that map, there were nowhere near as many pins. So clearly it's taking a life of its own, and it will organically grow. Where would we find more about this if we're wanting to look for more information?
I have a feeling that Ola is going to bring us right to the URL, but you can come right to the Charter for Compassion, and where it says communities in the navigation bar at the top, you can just pull down that bar and you'll see the map of co-creators. This gives an explanation of the map, but there's on this very page, there's a link to the physical map that we've just been looking at. And the other thing is that we want everyone who has a passion and wants to work with others to take this map and put it on their own website. Let's try and get 1 million people by the end of 2023 on the map. I mean, that's a big wish, but it's not impossible if all of the people who are watching this and belong not only to their own neighborhood communities and organizations with whom they frequent, but also those organizations that they might be working with and introduce the map and introduce it as your own. The ownership is for everyone.
So this brings us to another point of the original vision of that Karen Armstrong had, and I wonder, Marilyn, if you could just share a little bit about the beauty that she shared in those early days.
Yeah, in the early days, as I indicated in her TED Talk, which people could go to YouTube and have an opportunity to see the full TED Talk, she talks about the need for compassion in the world and a vision that people in one place of the world will reach out and help people in another. But as we have continued to put forth the Charter for Compassion, the notion of having a compassionate community is right there at the forefront. And Karen Armstrong early in the beginning of the Charter was asked, what is a compassionate community? And she said, an uncomfortable one. And it's uncomfortable because of the very fact that you see the problems that are right in front of your eyes and that they are the problems that need to be dealt with. And a community begins by looking at that uncomfortable state and tries to do something with it. And in the Compassionate Communities initiatives and city initiatives, what we're trying to do is to build a grassroots group of people who are always there, always replenishing themselves, always adding new people, new interest into that team. And that team working collaboratively and in cooperation with the local government. And so, it's from the bottom, from the top, and coming together to solve those kinds of problems. And right now, if you go to the various cities, of which there are coming close to 500 in 54 countries in the world, you'll find that they're dealing with really a lot of different issues. And those issues really do correspond to the SDGs, the United Nations, the Sustainable Development Goals. And so when you go through each of our sectors, you'll see that there on the right-hand margin is an opportunity to see what is the SDG for this particular sector, and what are some of the ideas that emanate from that issue that's part of the 17 SDGs. So and it's been really exciting to see how cities can begin to find one another and to see what they're doing with one another, with these issues. And we have something called the Wisdom Book, which is a whole other story in addition to the map, but it's really a partner to the map. It's to take those stories from a community that are just able to change a community. And so what are they? How might they be replicated in another place in the world? So if, for example, there's an idea that's coming from a small town in Appalachia in the United States, and where people are choosing to bring their community together in a community dinner, and we can look at what's happening there, how it came about, how it has evolved. We can look at the same thing that's happening in Sri Lanka. When they launched the Charter for Compassion, they did it with a huge dinner that was in the center of Colombo. And everyone had a chance to eat with one another and to share ideas with one another. So those are the kinds of stories, not long stories, but really stories that energize us.
Thank you. That's very clear and very beautiful. So for the people watching and for myself, if I was to relocate from Nottingham in England to Santa Cruz, how could I find, I understand the Wheel of Co-Creators, that's very exciting. How would I find if Santa Cruz was a compassionate city? Where would I go to find that,
Well,
or have compassionate action taking place, say?
Well, what you would do is you'd come back to the Charter for Compassion website, and again, in that navigation bar under communities, and if we do the pull down menu, you'll see participating communities, and you just click there, and you'll see communities that are in the process of working towards an affirmation of their compassionate community, and you see ones that have really gotten to the point with the local government of affirming the charter, writing their own resolution, their own government resolution of what this might mean. And so, for example, in a neighboring community of Santa Cruz is Pomona, and Pomona's resolution, while it embraces a lot of what's in the Charter for Compassion, its number one concern is civility, so that people both within local government and in different social service agencies within the community really are civil to one another, and they do some deep listening in order to solve their problems. So each community who works to affirm the charter can determine and build into their resolution what it is that they want to work on.
Such potential, and what we're saying here, I believe, is it's happening in so many places. Let's continue to help this and move this into expansion as we all get involved, and and build community within our own home environment, but also within the global echelons as well. So thank you. We could talk forever. We do. I know, again, this will be a continuing journey as we step up and step forward together. And thank you so much for your time. I'm deeply grateful. On behalf of Feast for the Soul, thank you, Charter, Marilyn, for partnering with us. And the website is charterforcompassion.org. And I'll put this all in the context afterwards. But from Marilyn and Ola and from me, thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.